This is a video that Personal SEO teaches using the keyword magic tool in SEMRush and how to find better key phrases for your website. There's a fan. I'm going to turn this off real quick because I'll just be in the background. Okay, so when you log into your SEMRush account, you're going to end up at a dashboard, and then on the left-hand side, this menu kind of gets away from you. Like if you're looking at projects, this whole menu disappears. So before you go down and click on projects and lose that menu like I just did, if you start here, just make sure you can click on the back menu there. Just want you to be able to get back to it. The magic tool. Okay, so very first thing that you want to do is you want to adjust the country that you live in. And I'm going to pick on Canada. And then from that moment, you can now then see what people are searching for. So Calgary homes for sale. I spelled that right? I just didn't capitalize it. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit search. So here are the things that you need to be aware of, and things and tricks that we do in SEO, and how sometimes SEO companies use these tips and tricks to give you falsified information, or just information of, hey, you're ranking #1, but when you look at this, you can kind of go, oh, I understand what they're doing. So I'm going to move this to the left so you can kind of see it a little bit more. I'm just going to hide that menu. I'm not going to click on it. So you type in your key phrases, and then you will see that there's 2,000 keywords that automatically comes up with Calgary homes for sale. The total volume of searches is 41,000 people, and the average KD is 70%. Okay, so let's talk about KD, keyword difficulty. So the higher this number is to 100%, the harder our quote unquote more competition you are going to have to rank for this key phrase. So the trick, what we're looking for is we are looking for a high volume and a low KD, meaning that for example, if this was 12,000 in volume and then the KD ended up being 20%, then that's like the best key phrase known to man. That means that no one's actually using that key phrase. There's not a lot of competition there, and it should be fairly easy to rank for. And so you can also see the kind of 30-day trend. It's actually it's a year trend. So it's a very small graph. So you can see that homes for sale in Calgary and East Saddle Ridge was doing really good, and then the rest of the year, no one started looking for that key phrase. So you get the general idea of what's going on. So what I tend to do is I tend to, one, search by volume, and then you can click on this, and this is just like Excel, sort it by date. So it's by default, it shows by volume. And then you can also sort by KD, which then this changes both of them. But for example, homes for sale in Calgary, Alberta doesn't get that much searches, and the competition is ridiculous for 260 searches. So therefore, it isn't worth your time to go after this key phrase, or the key phrase below it's actually even worse. But Calgary homes for sale is actually okay to go after. 80% means that you're going to have to get a bunch more backlinks and items to rank well, but you are not spending your money on going home for sale in Calgary. As you scroll down, you can start seeing the KD will start to continually decrease, which is fine. This works fairly well for micro communities. So, for example, what I found is that if you're in the high 60s, low 60s, it should be fairly easy to rank for, as long as you have you're doing a good job on SEO. So that's how that's done. And so what other SEO companies can do is they will find, for example, a very low KD and also a very low search, and then come back and say, hey, you're ranking #1 for 4-level split homes in Calgary. Well, it gets 10 searches a month. There's no competition. So normally what I would say is that in these circumstances where you can see all of these key phrases and there's a little bit of traffic and no competition, this would be the long tail search key phrases that you could just pick up for something fairly easy without putting a lot of effort on it. So example for this Alberta Park homes for sale Calgary, if you really did a page that for that, then I wouldn't put any content on it. I would just put listings on it, optimize it, and maybe you'll get something, maybe you won't. It'll increase internal linking, and it'll be good for the site as a whole, but who cares? It's like 10 people. So understand that when you search by KD and we search by volume, that's kind of what we're looking for. There's the competitive density, which is kind of the same thing as the KD. They're kind of all in one. So the closer to 1.1 is the higher competitive it's going to be versus the 0.2. So for example, let me swap it to that. So they're saying that the competitiveness of ranking for Calgary homes for sale is about 60%. So you kind of get the idea that so there is another factor that goes into KD. However, that's what the competition value is. The CPC is the cost per click. This may be useful and it may not, depending on if you want a pay-per-click. If you have a pay-per-click campaign, then obviously going after this key phrase, which is 72 cents, versus this phrase, which gets searched for less, $1.35, a lot of different technology goes into that. So in other words, you would pay this if you were guaranteed to get the lead, while this would be cheaper and technically you're not guaranteed to get the lead. So that is the whole thing. So high volume, low KD, and low competition, perfect. Those are the key phrases that you're looking for. And so what we do is we just kind of play around with the key phrases. Fingers on the right row. And what's astonishing at times is the switch between homes for sale and real estate. So yes, real estate gets 2,000 more searches, the KD's higher, and the competition's higher just a little bit. So now you can kind of go through and see, okay, these are the key phrases that I can pick up without putting too much effort in, which is great. So, and again, that's what we're after: high volume, low KD. The next thing, and that was just a broad match. So it's going to give a general, I think this is what you're talking about, kind of like Google. Here are all the key phrases that will fit in that kind of rough view. Now when we do phrase matching, then the system changes differently. So then therefore real estate needs to be used and Calgary needs to be used. And that helps narrow down this list a little bit more, like real estate map. So you kind of get the idea with that. So again, I'm sorting by volume. I'm not sorting by KD. If I sort it by KD, then yeah. So for example, that's insane. I would tell you to create that page, but I would tell you not to put any effort into it based on the fact that everyone seems to want to compete over that phrase. So a lot of this is being very educational and choosing to compete over key phrases that actually are going to get you a lead, rather than spinning your wheels and fighting for something that may never happen. So it'd be the same exact thing of fighting over Seattle real estate. It's just, if you have a brand new website, you're not going to get Seattle real estate for years. You can fight over it 3 years later, but not right out the gate. So there's that, and this is the exact match, which literally exact Calgary real estate has to be used. So you'll see in the results that all Calgary real estate is used. And so what you're looking for in here, and you're looking for other options to look at. So if we again switch it by, that was the best way to do it. Switch it by KD and then scroll down. What we tend to do is we tend to find opportunities and pages to write. So obviously you don't want to write anything about a forum, but a Calgary real estate map, that actually seems to be kind of okay and will get you some traffic. Not a lot, but it will get you some. The greater Calgary real estate. So you can create specific pages based off of phrase matching so that you can go after traffic where more traffic. Man, only if I could talk. So I'm going to switch it to homes for sale and then exact match. And then again, you could put homes for sale in Calgary or Calgary homes for sale northwest. Again, it should be really kind of easy phrases to go after, but it should give you some blog examples as well. So northwest Calgary homes for sale. 880 is okay. the KD is not too difficult. So then therefore I would create a page and then create internal linking to those pages and then go from there. But you can kind of get the general idea of creating long tail key phrase searches, how it's going to drive up your traffic. There's not going to be one killer key phrase, but you're driving your traffic up as a whole. So anything above 210, about 140. If it's just a community that you just want to have a presence in, then go ahead and add that key phrase. Since it's really easy to add a real estate page with listings on them, and that's kind of all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about creating a whole entire page of 1,000 words on that page. So the last thing is related, and this should give you some more ideas of key phrases to go after. So buy house Calgary, Calgary home. So that you should be able to kind of find an idea of what to go after. This would be more of idea hunting. And then again, you're still looking at volume. Volume is always good to look at, but then glance at the KD as well. Again, shoot between the 60s and 70 range. It should be fairly easy. Once you get into the 80s and 90s, it's going to be highly difficult, and they're going to be, and just know that those are the pages that are going to need to have a lot more backlinks on them. So as you can see the volume, and you can see the related and how that's dropping. That's okay. Again, I just want you to kind of get the idea. So again, this is not the phrase to go after based on that's almost 100%. And it says that the competition is 0.2, which is kind of odd. So with testing, you can just go, okay, we'll just see and add homes and add real estate and see if we show up for that. The final thing that we like to do is we like to look at questions. And this is where you're going to get a lot of ideas for blogs. You know, how many homes for sale in Calgary? You can go to phrase match. I would actually shrink it down to real estate instead of homes for sale. Questions tend to be a little bit better. Okay, so then here are all these questions that people are typing into Google and not receiving an answer for. How long to get a real estate license? I know that's not really important, but because you want to sell real estate, but these are the things that people are asking and typing into Google. So therefore, you can fill out and get ideas of blog posts that specifically answer questions. Same things if you just type in Calgary and then switch to broad match, you're still under questions. So then now you get a lot of questions in Calgary. And again, look at traffic, look at volume, look at KD. High volume, low KD, look at competition as well, and then go from there. So, you know, obviously I don't want you to write in what time is it in Calgary, where to vote and all of that stuff, but where to vote in a specific neighborhood would actually be a great idea. So another place to go to get questions is Answer the Public. And so there is this video guy, and again, you just Calgary real estate. So then what happens is that this is a quote-unquote reverse search engine. This now goes out to Google and says what type of questions are people typing in, and then it gives you the 13 questions that people are typing in. How is Calgary real estate market? Is Calgary real estate overpriced? So these are great blog posts. When will Calgary real estate recover? So now you can see all of these questions that you can write blog posts on, and or if, for example, it's going to be a static page, then I would do that. Will Calgary ever recover? I wouldn't use any of the recover for static pages, but I would use is Calgary a really good investment? So yeah, that's a great static page, and then it gives you more questions that people are asking. Commercial real estate, Mountain View, Calgary real estate with a pool. Yeah, so those are key phrases that you could type in. So then therefore you would click on Calgary real estate with a pool, takes you to the Google page. You could see some of your competitors here, and then you can actually pop that over into the key phrase tool. Take all, and then you just kind of make some of these adjustments. If just like this, you get a key phrase that does not show anything at all. It doesn't mean that that key phrase is bad. It just means that there isn't really any data for that. They couldn't find the data for it. However, Answer the Public does find the data for that. So a lot of times you may just guess. And again, Calgary real estate with a pool, I would just make this page, throw listings on it, and don't do any content, and then move on with my life. Same thing with basement suites, mountain view. So you can make all of these pages fairly quickly with the real estate solution and not really throw much SEO on it, because the real estate solution will provide the SEO for you, and then you'll start ranking for these pages, even the ones for rent. So then you kind of get the idea. So we use Answer the Public, and then this is something that I will just say, play with it. You could play with this tool and find multiple key phrases and things to go after. So like homes for sale in Calgary is a just, you're saying the same thing, but you're saying it in a different way. You can see that the volume drops considerably. Rather than 12,000, the KD is a little bit lower. So then actually that's just not even the same key phrase, but you kind of get the idea that sometimes people are searching for N, and your competition isn't really here because everyone's just typing in Calgary homes for sale or Evanston Calgary homes for sale by default, rather than switching the words around, and then therefore you can pick up some extra traffic by doing a little word switch. Or what you can do is you can add this key phrase to your content, make sure you add it to the meta keywords, and then just optimize it a little bit, and then you can start ranking for both. So this is basic key phrase research. It does take a lot of going in and playing with it and adjusting. And what I normally do is I have a spreadsheet or a notepad, and I start typing in all of the key phrases for areas, and then I start typing them in. So I've seen people with just pay-per-click go here, and then since pay-per-click is 0, what they would do is they would just create a pay-per-click account for all of these phrases and pick them up for pennies on the dollar. And when one of those 30 people click on their ad, they don't have to compete. That's a good way to see what you're competing with and what you're not. You could spend a little money on AdWords and pick up really easy amounts of traffic for literally nothing, because of zero. Nobody's there. Again, you can also create a page on your website, throw this as a key phrase in, and throw listings on it, and you're not competing with anyone. You're there. You're exactly where your customer isn't. Therefore, you're the only result. Hence, you would get more leads. And of course, if you compound this by doing this for every single one of them, and again, I understand that it's just 10 people, but if you're everywhere, then your brand goes up significantly. This is key phrase research. And again, this is Answer the Web. We tend to like to use that for questions, for blog posts, for static pages, and then using the key phrase tool to find extra pages that people aren't optimizing for. This is a good way to be where your customers aren't, and leveraging long tail key phrase searches. This is Personal SEO Teaches how to use the magic keyword tool in SEMrush.